So as you guys are aware, we've made a couple of videos talking about how Target supposedly has dropped their Pride merchandise. This is all, I consider it a rumor, even though they officially came out and said they were going to be dropping some of the merchandise. They didn't specifically say what merchandise, and I haven't actually seen proof of them dropping this merchandise at all. Now, apparently, we have another article from the street that goes into this about the merchandise and saying that Target has apparently dumped its Pride merchandise, and it goes into a little bit of detail about what they're going to be doing with this merchandise, and the answer, I guarantee you, will not shock you in the slightest. So we're going to get into this article, guys, but of course, before we do, just consider giving this video a like so you can push us out into the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing because we're trying to hit 30,000 subscribers before the end of Pride Month, and if we do, I will win my bet, and Ryan Roger Athe has to shave his majestic beard for us live on the channel. So, guys, if you are watching this video, please make sure you subscribe to the Bigot Army and help us reach 30,000 before the month is over. It says Target's reputation took a hit, and now the retailer needs to decide what to do with all the clothing in stores and warehouses. Now, I've said this before. I can't even imagine how much people actually would buy this stuff, right? Like the percentage of the population that this is trying to pander to, the tuck-friendly merchandise, right? Real women are not going to buy this tuck-friendly swimwear, right? They're just not. So who is going to buy this? Chicks with dicks, right? So how many chicks with dicks exist in the United States? Not many. And you gotta imagine how much merchandise they actually purchased and put into their 2,500 plus stores in the United States. How much merchandise did they put in there? It has to be drastically more than the amount of people that are actually out there in the United States that are chicks with dicks. So it just, you gotta make it make sense. Of course, this merchandise was probably going to end up on clearance at some point or time. I just can't see the amount of sales being that massive unless you probably have LGBTQ plus organizations that would probably buy up the merchandise in an attempt to not only, one, virtue signal, but two, give it out and try to indoctrinate people with it to try to encourage gender transitions in minors, right? Because you have extra small adult sizes that did fit kids, right? Or young adults. They did fit young people, and they even marketed it with young people on their website. I showed that in another video. So it wouldn't surprise me if that stuff was purchased by LGBTQ indoctrinating organizations and companies. So it says Target Corporation's TGT has decided to remove merchandise from its upcoming LGBTQ Pride collection because of objections from right-wing critics. It's always right-wing critics, right? Meanwhile, I have a video literally showcasing a gay man saying that he's not for this stuff. But hey, this is not the narrative they want to spin. Fortunately, retailers have a lot of experience getting rid of unsold apparel, whether by selling to off-price retailers like TJ Maxx or Marshalls, both owned by TJX Companies Inc., or just relegating clothing to landfills, which is not really good for the environment. Now, I don't know if they're necessarily going to sell off their merchandise to other corporations. I don't think other corporations are going to want to run the risk or even take the fire for Target, right? So why would these companies, after seeing how much Target has lost, want to take the risk and say, okay, we'll take the merchandise and we'll sell it? I just don't think it's going to be a thing. They might be able to get away by giving it to a warehouse that sells clearance items to just regular normies that not necessarily are involved in this stuff, right? So if you sell it to some sort of like clearance boutique, you might get away with it. Or you can donate it to Salvation Army. You might be able to sell it for like $1 or $2. You know what I'm saying? So they might have different ways to get rid of it. But in terms of major stores, I don't see them necessarily giving it to those major stores. It says in Target's case, the retailer will most likely and very quietly, keyword, quietly, donate the merchandise to charities or foundations possibly aligned with LGBTQ plus causes, which is what I was saying. I really think that that's going to be the way they're going to go. I think they're going to donate this stuff to LGBTQ organizations that then can utilize that stuff to either assist or promote or indoctrinate gender ideology on whoever decides to wear this stuff. So, of course, they're going to probably be the ones to either receive it for free or buy it up themselves. It says, I'm guessing that the clothing will end up being donated, said Jane Singer, managing director of Inside Fashion and JDT Research in Hong Kong, which tracks the international apparel supply chain. They can't sit in a warehouse because warehousing costs are very high. Also, Target needs to get that inventory off their books to free up open-to-buy dollars so that they can buy new merchandise. There are a lot of lessons in these recently failed collections for the industry, she said. There definitely is a lot of lessons, and they've learned their lesson in their stock. You know, they just recently, if you guys missed my last video, they recently downgraded Target stock from overweight to neutral. So that's a pretty big hit because they lost an ungodly amount of money in their stock value. So they're going to keep dropping, it seems, little by little. It may go up here and there because you're going to have some people who are probably going to be like, oh, I could buy it low, and eventually it's going to go up $30 again, and now I'll be rich. And it's just not how that works. We've seen with Bud Light that this is going to be a continued thing. It's not, obviously, obviously it's going to plateau at some point. I think it can't drop forever. It's definitely going to plateau, but I think they've lost so much money that it's almost unrecoverable. There is a certain amount of loss after a while that you just can't recover from. And Target and Bud Light, I think, are the two companies that are really realizing this. So it says collaboration's gone awry. Over the past years, retailers have partnered with outside designers, including celebrities, to create collections of apparel and accessories. The goal is to create exclusivity and excitement for stores and to stand out in an industry known for its intense competition and low profit margins. But we've seen plenty of misfires. Sometimes the partnerships seem mismatched from the start. Witness Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony's awkward collaboration with Kohl's Corporation more than a decade ago. And occasionally, the celebrity in question can go off the rails. Hip-hop artist and designer Kanye West struck deals with both The Gap and Adidas to create clothing and sneakers. But his erratic behavior and incendiary social media posts forced both retailers to sever ties with him, leaving the companies with lots of unsold Yeezy merchandise. Well, that's the thing. When you take the risk to virtue signal in some way, shape, or form, you take the risk. It is a risk. Like, it's not a guaranteed money pot. And the funny thing is, you would think that all these corporations realize that by virtue signaling to the LGBTQ, the chances of you making an ungodly amount of money from this is almost slim to none. I don't think I've ever seen an example where they virtue signal to LGBTQ or anything of the sort and make tons of money. I just never see it. I always see them go broke from it. I always see them lose out. Even in the entertainment sector, when they tried to virtue signal to black people, when they did the Riva lightsaber with Disney, it never got anywhere close to being completed in being backed. So it never got made. I just don't see the point in doing all of this virtue signaling. The only reason to do it is to up your ESG and corporate equality index. That's all it's for, so that you get money from there. It says a German sports brand was sitting on more than $1 billion worth of unsold sneakers. Last week, CEO Bjorn Golden announced that the company will resume selling the remaining stock of West Yeezy line and donate its proceeds to charity. Adidas struggled with that to do with what Yeezy merchandise did for many months. Singer said, "A lot of kids will be thrilled to get a pair of high-ticket Yeezy X Adidas shoes for free. I suppose they could write it off as a donation and use some of their corporate social responsibility budget to cover it." As for Target, the retailer hasn't disclosed how many products it plans to pull from its Pride collection. Target also declined to say what it will do with the merchandise. I'm not surprised. I would be highly doubtful if they pulled the tuck-friendly stuff. The tuck-friendly stuff is the stuff that's really what meant a lot to them, right? That's what really meant a lot to their ESG scores and their compliance. They needed to sell that dick-friendly stuff, because if they didn't, then you might as well just have stuck to your regular Pride merchandising that you do every single year. They've been doing the same Pride virtue signaling for decades, right? Like over a decade they've been doing it, so there's no reason to change it up. This year, they decided to do the tuck-friendly stuff because trans is the new fad. Right? Trans is the fad that's going around all over TikTok. Trans is the new thing to grift off of, which is why you have all these trans influencers trying to make as much money as they possibly can before it fades out. So of course they decided to do the tuck-friendly stuff, and that's what ended up getting them in the fire. The article finalizes and says, "We don't have anything to share on this right now," a company spokeswoman emailed The Street. So ultimately, guys, I really do think that this is going to be a massive loss for them. They're never going to admit it, and I cannot wait to see what happens further with Target as Pride Month continues on. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.